So shout out to Khadijah Mabawi. If I said the name right, I might have said it wrong. Um, but they were talking about Lil Nas X and hip hop and homophobia, specifically among from black men. I feel like I want to address this a little bit because I feel like they have some great points, and people like St. Andrews and other folks came on and put their 2 cents in, which I think they had great points as well. But I think there's some things that were really just missed hard. So one of the things we got to realize when it comes to black folks and homophobia, black men specifically, and homophobia. One of the big things we got to realize is where it comes from, where it's rooted from. A lot of people want to talk about it being from the church, but it's really not. Um, I mean, I'm not saying the church didn't add to it, but has anybody ever heard of buck breaking? So if not, let me explain it to you. So buck breaking is something that the slave masters used to do to black male slaves, which they would literally just trigger warning rape them. And so a lot of homophobia comes from the fear of buck breaking, the fear of that history and how that implied trauma onto black folks' psyche, specifically black men. And it's really crucial that we got to see that before we just assess these things, because a lot of people are still trying to fight that. And that's also why a lot of people associate homosexuality with whiteness, is because the white slave master used to buck break the black men. Used to make sure they would submit by raping them. So that's why a lot of association we see a lot of times with black men, and seeing it as a situation of rape and homosexuality being the same thing, and also see it as something to do with whiteness, is because of the history of that violence that was perpetrated against us. I think that's really important to go into this conversation realizing. Because if we don't go into the conversation realizing that, then we really don't understand what is happening. That's like number one. That's like the number one part that still plays a daily role in people's perpetuation of homophobia. Now, I do want to say something. Homophobia, transphobia, all that is Eurocentric. It is something that was passed down to us from one, trauma, and two, slavery, and then pushing those ideologies upon us. And it wasn't something that we derived from. We didn't pull that out. Well, I mean, in fact, a lot of African nations had trans and queer gods. Bet, you know what I mean? So when we see these things, we gotta understand what it's for. So I got shout out to Khadijah though. Their video was super fire. I just feel like that was a really important missed part. I do feel like one thing that people aren't gonna like hearing, but I do gotta say, is a lot of what perpetuates homophobia is desire to be desired by black women. And when I say that is there's a lot of times where black women perpetuate homophobia. And that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. And because a lot of men are trying to live up to and appeal to the desires of black women, and when a lot of black women, and we see it on dating sites all the time, we're like, oh, if you're bi, if you're this or that, don't even hit me up. Bet. Okay, cool, I won't. But like that's just something that really plays an effect to a lot of men. To me, I don't give a fuck. I'm queer as fuck. I'm not male. I'm gender fluid. I'm male sometimes. Sometimes I'm not. So I mean, I don't really talk about like gender fluidness as much as some people might like me to, but it's only because it's very personal to me. I think my sexuality is personal to me. I'm trying to break out of that a little bit, but it just been like that. You know what I mean? And that's why I want to talk about sex. That's why I'm starting the Sex Sunday. So if you guys want to have conversation about sex on Sunday, come fuck with me. We're gonna be doing that from now on because I'm trying to break out that bubble for me, but also want to be a little more fun because I'm always about politics. You know what I mean? But yeah, and everybody feel free to get in the chat. I'm not trying to watch this chat. I'm not used to this yet. I only go live a lot. But so between the buck breaking and people wanting to be attractive to black women, it plays a big role on why people perpetuate the shit. Doesn't make it okay. Does not make it okay. But I just gotta say that is something, and that's something that we have to change among ourselves across the board. You feel me? Yo, what's up, Mr. Mysterious? How you doing? That's something we gotta change across the board, and we can't just put cop it out on black men. One thing also we don't see a lot of times is we don't see the perspective of hood niggas, like straight up. Like I'm a hood nigga, but I'm also a weirdo. I'm a geek, so I'm not really like normal hood nigga by any means. So like I'm not gonna front about that. You know what I mean? I grew up in the hood. I'm from the streets. It is what it is. But I'm a queer ass hood nigga that's a fucking blurred. You know what I mean? I'm a black ass nerd. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm different. But generally, we don't see the perspective of motherfuckers that just fit into that situation. Because I've always been kind of an outsider because of how I maneuver and function within life. You know what I mean? But I think one thing is, I do gotta say, like, I will say this, I am sick and tired of motherfuckers coming for motherfucking Lil Nas X. That shit's played, bro. I'm just gonna say that straight up. I'm 100% with that shit's played as fuck. I was disappointed with Boosty for that shit, but I also want people to understand where people are actually coming from, what people are actually dealing with, and why they react that way. And is it cool? No, it doesn't make it cool just because I want you to understand it. You feel me? You mean it's but we gotta understand like why people do what they do. If we don't try to seek understanding, I want to say what's up to everybody. I'm not good at this chat thing. I'm sorry. But everybody, I appreciate everybody's commenting. But if we don't see why people make the decisions they make, if we don't see why people feel the way they feel, we don't seek understanding. And I know the people aren't seeking understanding of Lil Nas X or me or any other queer person. Period. I understand that. And that's not cool either. But this shit happened for a reason, and it wasn't just because people are homophobic. It's not that simple with black folks, especially black men, because it just isn't. There's a lot of trauma that goes into that shit. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of seeing shit is Eurocentric. There's a lot of things that add to the situation. And this is all, like, honestly, a symptom of white supremacy when we track it back. Oh, everybody's gonna be like, oh no, you're blaming everything on white supremacy. But a lot of things do come strictly from white supremacy when you talk about at least black people from the United States. You know what I mean? And other places too, not just the United States, but I'm just speaking from where I'm from, right? And so, man, okay, hold on. I'm gonna take some time to actually try to respond to these. It sucks because I think we are also trying to live up to this false scene of masculinity, and Lil Nas flies in the face of that which is threatening. I agree with you to a degree on that, for sure. I think there's a false sense of it, but I also understand that a lot of what traits people see as masculine really just come from trauma, right? Like a lot of the things, like a lot of hood niggas, like they position themselves in ways to try to survive inside the situations they're dealing with. A lot of that also is not just about survival, but also about the responses to trauma. Like a lot of like stoicism. Everybody talk about stoicism all the time. Be stoic. Man, who acts stoic all the time? Traumatized motherfucking people. Like, that's just what it is. Trauma makes you seem stoic. It's not that you're stoic. It's just you're only trying to speak on shit. You just want to sit back and like, man, you kind of get numb to stuff and like just observing, you know what I mean? And it's like a survival tactic. And those things are extremely important. I feel like I'm talking a little fast. If y'all want me to slow down, let me know. I'm down to do that. But I think we do have some struggle to do that. There's some hyper masculinity that we do try to live up to, some folks. But there's also, like, I know people have seen me as hyper masculine before, and I don't get like that because I'm trying to live with the masculinity. Honestly, I was a motherfucker. I'm fat. People would grab my chest and weird shit in the gym and shit. I did not like any of the ideas of masculinity my whole life. Like, never did. Never wanted to live up to it. Never wanted to be that. You know what I mean? Never wanted to be those things. I legit just wanted to be different and be cool with that. Now, I do take some of the traits on, but not because I was inspired by masculinity. Those traits that I do take on sometimes come a lot directly from trauma. Yo, you're amazing. Thank you for the. Yeah, 100%. Men are definitely hurt from patriarchy. That's facts. I feel like that's something that, and also women perpetuate patriarchy too. That's another thing that people don't talk about. It's real common. I mean, I've actually had an ex-partner who was a woman that literally wanted me to be literally more toxic and jealous because I wasn't a jealous person at all. I can love you without jealousy, you know what I mean? But because that they wanted me to be possessive, so that's a real thing too. And man, it's just really hard to see the situation because it's like I see the pain that this is coming from. The homophobia, transphobia, all that shit come from in our community. I see the pain and it's fucked up. And then also we get scapegoated. People try to picture black people as more homophobic than the rest of society, which is bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. We're more direct than most of society, but not more homophobic. And the thing is also where our homophobia comes from is such a different place than like Christian fundamentalism or something, you know what I mean? But we do have to make big changes within our community to try to shift that. I think that's something that has to be done by both genders, though, and also, you know, what I mean, both genders is being. Let me not say both genders, both men and women. So, like, there's more than two genders. So let me correct myself on that for my misstatement. Yes, women totally uphold patriarchy, and yes, to the homophobia thing. Yeah, and honestly, man, I fuck with Lil Nas X. I'm really, I love his trolliness. I love how he trolls this shit. I love how he had the fucking womb. That shit was lit. I was like, hey, everybody getting mad. I'm like, I feel you. I'm the type of motherfucker like pissing people off too and doing that same thing. To like, yeah, facts. I mean, that's some real shit. But like, I think when we really think about this, we have to go deep into this because I feel like we can't just think of it lightly. It's just not as simple as it is with like people of European descent. It just really isn't, and it's because of shit that people of European descent did to our people. You feel me, man? But what do y'all think? What do y'all think we should be doing to change this in a way that's good for our people, not destructive? Because I feel like there's both sides of it, right? We got to make sure that black folks that are like outwardly queer, as well as black folks that are queer like myself, are like feel safe in it. And now I'm not really worried about them feeling safe. I'm 6'2", ex-bouncer. I'll throw some hands if I need to. I'm not really tripping, you know. I'm queer as fuck. Fuck you. If you want a problem with it, we can box. I don't give a shit. Like, got me fucked up. But I also feel bad if I have to box someone for it because I feel like a lot of time where they come from is trauma. A lot of times. And not even to say about like things like sexual assault that may have happened when people were children. Like, I'm not even going to talk about that because that can breed that shit too. And it's not fly. You shouldn't translate that shit that way, but people do. And it is what it is. And so I think people use a lot of things like, say, therapy. And I think that could be good for that for some people. But that's not for everybody. Like, I can't do therapy. It's super triggering for me. Because I had mental health treatment, and she has a child that was used very violently against me. So I think we have to find other ways. And I think one of those things is, how do we build community networks that support? I think that's art. I think that art can help out. Big facts. Art can help a lot of things. Art is my therapy for real, bro. Like, I'm not even gonna play. It helps me discover shit about myself all the time, you know, and I really feel it. But I also think that support networks that are of our community, that sit here and like, okay, as black folks, we're gonna go forward and support people, support queer folks, but also support people moving their way out of their homophobia, out of their transphobia. And a lot of these motherfuckers are in the closet them damn selves. The people who are the most homophobic half the time are in the closet. To be 100, they're trying to cover up their own tracks, bro. And that's just at least my experience. Let me not speak for everybody because I've just seen that a lot. You know what I mean? Honestly, it's on us to heal us. I don't think there's anything else that can happen from outside forces. I don't think it's going to make it any better. I think when we look at this situation, we have to really figure out how do we heal us, how do we heal our communities, but also how do we recognize where it's coming from? Because if we don't see the root of the pain, the root of the violence, the root of the things that are being perpetuated, we cannot heal. I'm dead ass. We cannot heal unless we actually see where it's coming from. What do y'all think? What do y'all think things we should be doing right now to like try to heal from this and try to make our community move forward? Because I do agree, especially with hood niggas, we need to get past homophobia. We need to do it. We need to. Like, but we can't do it without like the damage that was actually done to our hearts, to our bodies, to our souls being healed. And I don't think like just preaching at people is ever going to do that. I don't think Bootsy's going to change from people preaching at them, right? Bootsy probably has a lot of homophobia coming from prison and the fear, the actual homophobia that lives within prison because people are actually scared of being sexually assaulted. Never mind you that the people who rape most of the time are actually straight, except when they're in prison. You know what I mean? So it's like, they're not really queer folks in the same way. You know what I mean? There are people who are just whatever. They're weirdos. The people who sit there and sexually assault people in prison are weirdos. But like, how do we get through that trauma? How do we work through those things in those situations? Because I don't think it's easy. I do think, like the brother said, art is super fire, super way to like vent it out. I mean, I think that's probably what I'm doing right now. Yeah, let me know. I'm probably gonna end this live. I do really short lives. I know. I should probably go for an hour or something, but it's just how I flow right now. I might change it up as time goes on. But if you're still on, leave in the comment section. Let's have a chat down there. I just wanted to throw this out there real quick because I wanted to respond to Khadijah's video, which y'all should go watch. Khadijah Bowie, the video that is titled "Who's Afraid of Lil Nas X? Pop Culture Analysis." And I think y'all should go check that out if you haven't seen it. It is super fire. She goes super hard in this. I just wanted to add a little bit on there. But all right, y'all, I'm about to pop out. Deuces.